As we all know, the white sticky board that's on the bottom is only about 1/8 of an inch and really gives really minimal insulation value to the hive. And I would strongly suggest anybody north of the Mason-Dixon line to seriously consider swapping out for a solid bottom board to improve the insulation factor within the hive. If you went from the white sticky board to a 3/4 inch plywood bottom board, your R value is going to just skyrocket tremendously when you use that. I would just highly recommend putting the screen bottom boards on in the spring once your temperatures are above 40 degrees, and get rid of your solid bottom boards. And that will be a mechanical way of treating for mites that come in on the bees. So once again, screen bottom boards are great, but below the Mason-Dixon line, you can keep them year round. But those above the Mason-Dixon line should really seriously look at solid bottom boards during the late fall and winter months on that there. This was a little video that we did for our website, and it just tells you a little bit about these anti-ant feet that you can put on your screen bottom board or on your solid bottom board and eliminate ants getting into your hive.
Yeah, let's watch that.
Hi, everyone. Do you have problems with ants coming into your hive, whether they be the red ants or black ants? They're still a problem for your bees. Until now, we have not had any kind of a product to offer you for this pest that is coming into your hive until now. And these are anti-ant hive legs. And what they do is the ants cannot get through this dome that's underneath. So they'll crawl up and then they'll fall right back down. Gravity just pulls them down off of that because this is very, very smooth on the underside and the ants cannot grab onto it. It is mounted underneath by 4 screws, and you'll have 4 legs that you'll use to mount on the 4 corners of your hive. Trust me, you'll enjoy this and keep those ants out of the hive.
If you've had problems with ants getting up into the hive, the anti-ant leg supports, those are great. They come, in a package of 4?
Yes.
Package of 4.
So you have two feet for the front of the hive, 2 feet for the back of the hive.
Cool. And you can find that at mountainsweethoney.com. And again, there in the search, just type in the word ant and it'll bring up the product.
You know, Brian, we every year we think we have enough anti-ant feet, and we sell out every year. We've got literally, I think, 500 to 1,000 packages of these ready to go for this season. So don't get left behind. Don't wait for the ants to invade. Let's go back to insulating your hive. Okay, so there's several ways that you can insulate your hive. This person here basically used polystyrene underneath and then used like a plastic covering on it and then tied it both here at the bottom and at the top to keep those into play. Now, one thing I did see, and I know the reason why he did this, is he left an opening right there. That's a vapor escape for those that are in the really cold areas. That can be a problem. That's why he did that right there. So if we're insulating a hive, the first thing that we want to do is consolidate the hive. A lot of times folks leave 2 or 3 medium supers above the deep. That is not a good thing to do because it leaves so much more room within the hive for the bees to warm. So you want to consolidate that and bring it down and have really just 1 medium and 1 deep or 2 double deeps. I know a lot of you use double deeps up in the upper north area of our nation. Yes, that is acceptable there. The one thing that you want to have is a barrier behind your hives to protect against the cold northerly winds that are blowing. If you're out in the Midwest, those winds are blowing almost all the time. I would highly recommend putting some hay bales up or something to help your bees stay a little bit warmer during these cold January and February and some of March for most of you in the upper north. The other thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that the small entrance reducer on the front of the hive, and typically that's only about 1 inch wide. We want to make sure it's not in the summer mode that is roughly 4 inches wide, because that once again allows a lot more cooler air to get into the hive. And that reduced winter size opening is all that is needed by the hive during this time of the year. We're not going to have any queen excluders on. Those should have been taken off at the end of the summer after you have pulled your honey from the hive. Queen excluders should not be on the hive at all during this time of the year. And if they have been, most likely the queen is dead and all the workers most likely on that there. Got to make sure the queen excluder's out. Got to make sure the small entrance reducer is in the small 1-inch area. You know, the colony is, at this time of the year is going to be on the upper side of the hive as far up as possible because heat rises and heat rises within the hive itself. So the bees understand this, and that's why they'll move up from the brood part of the hive up into the supers.
Ray,
So,
I think this might be the appropriate time to jump in with a question from
yes,
David Mason. Would I need to switch to a solid bottom board in the winter when using the 8-frame Ciracel Defender board?
we're still learning on this here because it's a new product, Brian. That is a very thick bottom board that is there, and it's a high grade food plastic that Ciracel uses. And we'd like to have some feedback from those of you up in the north area to tell us how that is doing so that we can advise people next winter on what to do there. We've talked about the heat rising within the hive itself. Now, the thing that we have to remember is that bees do not want to defecate within the hive itself. They want to do a quick fly out from the hive, defecate, and then return to the hive. If you go out and there's white snow out there and you see these little yellow droppings, that's your bees defecating outside of the hive. That's a great thing because trap bees can result in the nosema virus. Once it starts within the hive, it's all downward from there. Here's your takeaways again. Consolidate your hive. Don't have a lot of extra supers. Put a barrier that helps protect it against the northerly winds. And make sure your entrance reducer is to the small side, 1 inch. And take out the queen excluder. And the colony will be in the upper area of your hive because heat rises. And you got to make sure, like we were looking at that beehive at the beginning of the program here, they got to be able to fly out to defecate. If not, nosema is going to be part of the problem within the hive itself.